everybody. I just want to welcome you. I cannot believe it is July 1st. This is Joan with her very much wake up hair, and then I just crunch it and come on down. But boy, it is July 1st, and I want to just take a minute as I'm looking around this call and acknowledge so many of what I call my regulars are attending today, and we've got a couple gals that are a little newer to the call. Welcome, Bonnie and Hannah. We're really glad you're here. And I'm just going to tell a little bit about morning motivation. Gosh, I started in the industry back in 2001. And I think Terry's been in the industry a little longer than me. I always loved Terry's wisdom and her experience because she's been through like me, from the age where we didn't even have computers. We did everything by hand to now today, her and I, we're the older generation of network marketing, and we adjust and keep up on all these technologies, different things. So it's kind of cool though to have someone like Terry's expertise on our calls because she really lends a different perspective. And then we've got Jen and Jane and Holly and Debbie, who all have been coming to these calls for, I think well over a year, or sometimes two. And even there could be someone, Jane might have even started at the beginning, which was like 3 years ago. So the reason why I say this is because community is something that people need. And right now, more than ever, it's lacking. All right. So welcome, Maria. Hey, girl. Good to see you. So let's talk about that just for a moment. What is community? What is culture? When people talk about what is my tribe or who is my tribe? And I want you to think about in your life where you have different areas that you have community in. Some of you might belong, to a sisterhood within your own companies. Some of you have Facebook groups that you either lead or you're a part of. Some of you belong to a gym or a yoga studio, and you know your peeps when you walk into that place, and this makes you feel welcomed. It makes you feel recognized and often significant because you matter. So one of the things that I always hope to do on Morning Motivation is to be an inclusive group that we leave the judgment at the door and we just support people where they are, no matter where they are, and we just come around them and believe that they came here to get uplifted. They came here to level up. They came here to feel better. And as a result of being part of these calls, that they leave better than when they came. Every single call. If I can help someone do that, then it's always worth the time. And we then build this community of trust and safety. So that kind of gives you just a little idea of this community. I don't do a set outline on purpose because I like the calls to be led by what's going on within the group. Now, today, I would, though, love for Holly Carson. Holly called me in tears the other day. And, I have to say, these are the kinds of calls I adore getting. And this makes everything that I do worthwhile. So Holly, can you by the way, cute little shirt. I like that little kind of sexy, contemporary chic,
I'm not showing anything off, but the keyhole's kind of cute. I had to get it.
Pretty cute. It's pretty cute. All right, Holly, tell the group a little bit about your call to me and what transpired, and give a little background.
Okay, well, first of all, I always feel that credit needs to be given where credit's due, especially as women. When something awesome happened and you have a way of complimenting somebody, you should share that with them. I know that has nothing to do with what I was talking about. However, I needed Joan to know that she helped me more than she knows she did. And I wanted her to know right away. So I called her. I was so excited. I was in tears. I was like choking up. And if you know me, I don't really get that way very often. So anyhow, those of you who were on this call last week, you kind of know a little bit about my situation, and I shared it last week. Basically, to give it in a nutshell, I haven't had a car in going on 4 weeks now. I have kind of given the control over to my husband to take care of the situation because he pretty much created it. So, I finally decided that like enough was enough and I was going to have to take it into my own hands. He's busy. He works, like 60, 70-hour work weeks. So it really wasn't working very well for us. And I shared that last week on this call. And I asked Joan for advice just because I'm not the person who gives up control very well or easily. And also I was a little bit apprehensive that it was going to go, from bad to worse. So she gave me some advice, which, I didn't take it first, and I didn't share that with Joan before, but I should have. So she had told me on the call last week that I should write out what I would like the situation to look like and how it's going to go, down, right? I am going to make this phone call and this is what they're going to say and this is how it's going to go, because I was in the frame of mind that this could only go bad. So I did make the phone call, the first phone call, without writing it down. That was my first mistake, and I freely admit that now. However, I had a phone call with the guy on the phone, basically telling me that my car was going to cost me way more money than it was. It went originally from $2,500 to $3,800 really quick. And I was very upset. So I, pulled, let me speak to your manager. I'm not typically the speak to your manager. I'm usually, let's work this out, you and me kind of person. But sometimes we just need to pull that. And I did. And I spoke with the manager and I was very, very nice. I didn't get loud, mean. I was just very firm with him, explained the situation. This needs to get fixed. He said, actually, he kind of agreed from what I was saying. Let me get back to you. But there's no way we can do it for $2,500. This is what he says to me. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk. Anyhow, after I got off that phone call, I was pretty heated. Joan actually, because of how Joan explained the situation had gone down with her in our call last week. She had talked about, she had left originally a meeting and she was mad and I was mad. She said that her heart was kind of racing and she felt hot. And I'm like, yes, all these things. And so I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't do the things I told her I was going to do. I didn't write it down. So I did. I stopped right then and there and I did the tool. And I actually wanted to show you guys, it's right here. And I did exactly what she said. She said in her situation, she had written it down. She reread it, realized there were some things that she wanted to change. So she rewrote it. This is my rewriting it, and added some things, tweaked some things, and then reread it. One, she didn't say this part, and I want to say this part. It calms you when you're writing it down. Mm-hmm. It takes you from that hot moment, that mad, that anger, and like clears your head. It clears your head of that cloudy, this guy's a jerk, or you know what, that horrible things we think. It calms it down and it brings it into like a good vibes, like really quick, like super quick. This was like 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it took me from thinking all those negative things to, nope, these are all going to be good things that happen. And I was so surprised by that part of the tool that I didn't know. Like nobody talks about that part. So know that that's a part that like, if you just want to like stop being pissed, try that. Anyhow, you guys, that's like manifesting, right? Like that's manifesting 101, to write down the thing you want to happen. And then you guys, the guy called me back like 10 minutes later and it was almost verbatim what I wrote down. Now, my situation isn't completely finished yet. I still don't actually have my car, but I had written down that the manager was going to call me back. He was going to say, yep, I reviewed all the numbers. Yep, it doesn't make any sense why we, jacked up the price over $1,000. And then I had written down something. What did I write down?
The real important part is what you wrote for your outcome.
Okay, well, but I haven't completely gotten the outcome, but I did write down, and this part I told you. I said that he said after reviewing and speaking with his supervisor that he had gotten the bill down to $2,700, which ends up being $3,100 or less. I had written down or less after taxes and stuff, which realistically is only $100 more than I had originally, he had originally quoted me, but that's not how he was looking at it. Anyways, he had called me and said, okay, so I spoke with my manager, everything, we got it down, we got your bill down to $3,083. And I had written down 3,100 or less. So I was like, oh my gosh. I just sat there like, okay, do it. I was so excited. So I wanted to share that with you. Now, I also have other things on here, like, that I'm going to get my car and it's going to be clean and it's going to be well fixed and it's going to be purring like a kitten and there's going to be smiles and everybody's going to be, but I haven't got my car yet. So I'll let you know when I hear about that part.
But you guys, and Holly, thank you so much for sharing. These are the details that I love hearing. So all of you, I know you all have stories or you're going to be more aware of your stories. Please let me know these things, because what this does is not only is it a confirmation for you, but it allows me to share in your joy and your overcoming yourself. Because here's the deal. I know Holly well enough. I can say this. Holly's got a very happy demeanor. You can see that. But when Holly gets a little bit squirrely or sideways, Holly's demeanor changes and she becomes a little pistol. So sometimes if you look at your true self and, when things are going well, it's easy to be happy and fun and all these things. But when the rubber hits the road and we have circumstances that come up that don't really fit into our plans, that is when we start really noticing our behavior. And we often just go on about the day and we just don't necessarily think about it. But when you start coming to calls like these and you hear a few things and you take a few notes, you can't undo what you learned. So Holly is taking what she learned and then going, wait a minute, I walked out a little pistol, right? And I actually don't really like the way that outcome's going, right? So she went home, like she said, it took her about 5 minutes, wrote out the way she wanted it. The other thing that she said, I've got some details in here. Guys, this is exactly what you do. You use your imagination to write out the way you want the scenario to go. I'm going to tell you, more people than not will tell you that's a bunch of baloney, whatever, do what you want. That's so stupid. But here's what you need to know. The law of attraction is simply working with your own energy and frequency, your vibe, right? So if you're in a good mood, more good things come to you. If you're in a bad mood, more of those same feelings come to you. You are a magnet for your thoughts, but actually not for your thoughts. You are a magnet. It starts with a thought. You are a magnet to your emotions. Whatever the emotion is coming out of here is what you attract to you. And the beauty, and what Holly has learned, and many others of you that come to the calls have learned, is that you literally can change it. I want to point out one last thing that Holly said. She said, what we don't really talk about is when she got it down on paper, the feeling of relief. But again, I want to show you this. When she was in her imagination, when she was thinking about what she wanted, wouldn't it be natural that her frequency of sassy probably went down and her kindness went up, because that's how she wanted it? Are you guys with me? You can change your vibrational energy. And that's what it is, the simplest way to describe it. Just like this. Just like this. Even if you can't stop thinking about the thing that's worrying you, you don't have to. You just get to choose another good feeling thought. This is why we want to, in my opinion, understand that if we're already trying to not think about the thing, you're thinking about it in a way that doesn't serve you. That's called resistance. So what we want to do is forget that for a minute. Like, let's say I'm all concerned about the car price and all these things that really are out of my control. And I'm using Holly's scenario. And if Holly would have even also, I'm giving you another example, just got up and went to the beach and started throwing some shells in the water or whatever, doing a sandcastle with her son, that changes the energy, doesn't it? That's my point. But Holly took it to the manifesting, to, I'm going to do what Joan suggested, what I heard her do. And then boom, she had the outcome she wanted. So this works for anyone, and it will work for you too. I want to give just a couple steps. Right now we're at the beginning of July, and some of you have already written out your goals and maybe what you want your month to look like. Some of you maybe are recreating certain areas of your own life. So my question for you is, have you taken the time to write it down? In other words, get it out of the head, get it onto paper. I always love suggesting a journal of any kind, because you get to review what you wrote tomorrow, the next day, a month from now, a year. You go back and you see your own growth. It's phenomenal how, when we're aware, the changes that we can make. I was 1 minute late here to this call because I was on a coaching call with a gal from one of my clients. And she said to me, I feel like it's just a little off. And I said, here's what I see. It's like a radio station. If the station that you want to be on is 101.5, if you're on 101.4 or 101.6, you might be able to hear the music, but you're not getting the crystal clear clarity, right? Sometimes it's just a tweak away from where you need to be. And oftentimes these are where people hit plateaus in business and life. They get comfortable with whatever that is going on, and they usually don't have the belief, or they have maybe a little background of hope, but they stay in these places because they don't really believe it could change, or it could be even better than kind of this status quo, say. So I want to give you a couple little steps because, we go over this, but I think it's always good to remind ourselves of this, because these are 3 steps that will support you to get clear on what you want. Okay, first off, I believe one of the most important questions that we all could ask ourselves is just that. What do you want? Write it down. This is also a great question to ask your children. They'll say things like, I just want to go to Disneyland and have no school. Never again do I want to go to school, No, we talked about what do you want, not what you don't want, what you want, right? Ha, ha, ha. Okay. What do you want? Now, I'm going to tell you that if you ask most people this question, what do you really want your life to look like? Or what do you really want this month or today? Most people will say, well, what I'd really like is this, and they say it, and then they go, but I doubt that's going to be for me. But, and then they give you every reason why not. And so what do? Who knows? What happens when we do that? Who wants to share? Come on. When we do that, what happens? Terry.
Well, the but diminishes what you say you want as soon as you add a but to it.
Right. It cancels it out, because let's say I want the new car. Now just watch. I want the new car. Maybe even say, I want the new BMW X5 because I love driving my children to soccer in a nice ride or whatever. Okay. I want that. I know that's what I want, but I can never afford that. Do you see? That's just a little example of what the majority of people do without some tools. And they don't even, they're not even aware that they're doing that to themselves. So when I ask you the question, what do I want? If you were going to spend 15 minutes, a half hour with a glass of wine, a good cup of coffee, a hot tea, light a candle over the weekend and write out, what do you want? And you could add to it. It could be, like I said, this year, what do you want your life to look like? What areas, it can be any way, but here's your clue. Resist the temptation to write anything on that paper that you don't want. I want a new house, but I'd settle for a trailer. I want a new house because I'm tired of living in this broken down thing. I want a new car. I just can't afford it. None of the afters. We don't want to cancel out what we want. This is only what you want. Okay, now here's the steps to it. The first step is to ask. Each person on this call has to be bold enough to put out there, and you can believe however you want. This isn't a religious call, but you either maybe are praying to God, you're praying to your higher power, self, the universe, whatever you want. That's up to you. But you need to ask for what you want. Some of you are just going to write it down on paper. That's strong. Do it. So whatever it is, number one, I'm going to ask. The asking is where you bring in your clarity. See, if I'm helping somebody reach a goal and I say, why do you want that goal? And they say, I don't know. Well, chances are they probably won't reach the goal because there's no reason behind it. You guys following me? And the reason has to be what? Connected to the person's emotions. All right. So the asking, if you're going to say something like, I want money. Okay. How much money? So we're getting clarity, right? We're getting specific. Write that down. Clarity and specifics under the ask. How much money? Now connect it to the emotion. So I can provide for my family's beach vacation to the shores of Fort Lauderdale. I don't know where I came up with that, but do you get where I'm going? See the specifics? And then when I say Fort Lauderdale, I start visualizing it, don't I? All of a sudden now I'm at the beach. Okay, so there's where the ask. All right, the second step is to believe. You and I will have a tough time believing something's already happened if we don't practice this. So I'm not going to go into the metaphysics stuff behind this, but write down number 2 is believe. And believing is understanding that once you ask for something, it is given. So write that down. I'm going to ask, and then number 2 is believe. I want you to write, it is given. And remember when I said you start visualizing the beach there in Fort Lauderdale? Okay, you're beginning to believe and create the picture in your mind. So let's take it to maybe a business goal or a personal goal. Let's say I want to lose weight. Okay, I'm going to ask, I'm going to write down, I want to be at blank. Notice I didn't say I want to lose amount of pounds. No, I'm going to be 140, whatever the amount is, the weight. And then I'm going to believe that I can do that. And as I see that 140, then I start seeing the different sizes of clothes. Maybe I take a picture of an outfit that I want that's in the size I want, that when I'm going to the refrigerator, I see the outfit, it's on the reefer, or, I put this where I can see it on my bathroom mirror. Okay, I'm going to believe it's possible with some modifications in my stuff that I'm going to attain that. Okay. And we then change much of our behavior when we believe that it's given. So I'm going to pause there because I think this is where I see when I'm working with people, it's real easy to say, okay, I ask. What most people don't realize is we're asking every single day, all day long. Did you know that? Literally by your thoughts. I want spaghetti for dinner. Oh, I kind of want fish. I want to go to a patio. I want to go to a nice restaurant. I just want drive up. Do you see what I'm saying? It's all day long. You're manifesting. People say, I don't really do it very well. The one thing you have to do with manifesting to really understand is get control of your mind. Right? That's what it is. Get control of your mind. And then we're going to direct what we want by using the tools like Holly did. And many of you have done these kinds of things too. Now, I would say to Jen, and she's got her kids in the car, they're heading home, it looks like, from the pool, but I could say to Jen, like, hey, have you ever had an off day? And she'd say, yeah, I have. But she keeps showing up and she keeps suiting up. That's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. So I'm going to pause, and anybody have anything they want to comment, any questions they want in this area?
Just that even though we've talked about this a lot, I'm hearing it differently for some reason today, which can happen. And also I want to thank Holly for what you shared, because when I write out things that I want, it's always regarding my career or my health. I've never thought of doing a specific, like dealing with the car dealership or an attorney or whatever, the minutia of life that we have to deal with, writing down that type of a situation. So that's a game changer. Thank you sorry you had to go through that, but it was a great teaching moment for all of us. So,
Yeah, but thanks for your example.
yeah.
Well, and Maria, I'm going to have you go next, but remember what Holly said. Holly learned just like I did. See, we got to a place where we were both uncomfortable with the way we left it. In other words, I got sassy too. I got a little fire in me. And when I left the bank, I was in this state. Like, really? Are you kidding me? You can't help me? Like, what? Notice that energy, that frequency. It doesn't really make somebody want to help you, does it? Right? We attract what we put out. So the beauty of this always is you can revisit right now. The here and now is the most important. You don't want to look in the rearview mirror and beat yourself up, because then you're just got that frequency coming in. See? All right, Maria.
Okay, so I have an example. I set a goal for June. All right. And I really don't like setting business goals. And I'll tell you why, because I feel like I never attain them when I set them. I'm better off not doing that. And I had one of my leaders write me and say, basically, girl, you have this. This is where your numbers are. And I thought, oh no, I wish she didn't write that. So what happens? I have 3 clients who canceled. And then I'm not joking, 17 people reach out to me last month, and I still didn't make it. I needed one more person and I would have made my goal. So, and it's almost like, did I create this? Did I already put this in my mind that I wasn't going to make it once I got that email? Do you know, it's this phobia I feel I have with making a goal. It is so crazy that I think like this.
Do you want some help?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, because first off, I want to thank you, Maria, for being so vulnerable to share that. Because guys, these are things that these struggles are things very similar. I know you can all relate to these mindsets that don't serve us. I'm going to show Maria how we can change that fairly easily if she's willing to take on a new belief. Okay. So when I hear people, I have key words that I write down that they say. Did you hear the word never? I never make my goal. Never. That's a heavy word, isn't it? Now, Maria could pause on never if we stopped right here and go, oh my gosh, never, she could get hung up on that, but we're not going to let her. We're going to come around and support her, and we're going to do this. Maria, today, it's July 1. If you want to overcome the phobia of writing down a goal, we have to take on a new belief. So let's call it something different. We don't need to call it a goal. Let's just call it something different. How do you want to end? Let's talk about your business. How do you want to end the month of July? We're going to break your cycle. What do you want your business to look like for July? Come and tell us.
Well, I'd like to get to that executive director. See,
Okay.
and then I've already named that.
Watch. Executive director. Okay. Keep going. What do you
And
want?
I'd like to add 2 more coaches.
Okay. And 2 coaches. Okay. How about you get a clean little slate and you write that down. Okay, because you didn't have any trouble coming up with that at all. You didn't go, never thought about it. No, you knew. I want to hit executive director and add 2 coaches. So let's write it down and let's post it. Now, put it where you can see it. Now, here's the deal. If you were to take a few minutes just right after this call and write out, why do you want that? Hi, sweetie. Why is that important to you? Okay, and resist the temptation to write anything about the past, right? Anything about I never, it doesn't, because we got to break the cycle of just focusing on what you want. What you want. Maria, are you willing to write out what you want and then share that with me at some point later today? Just me and you.
Yes.
Okay. I want you to write that out, and then you have my info. You can catch me in Facebook, Instant Messenger. I'm going to help you with this, and we'll continue following up with you for the month of July. Now, this is the only thing that I'm going to have Maria do first. It's the first step, isn't it? You guys are like, aren't we going to complete it? No, not yet. You got to show up on Monday to get the next one. So we just want to write out what we want beginning of July. That's it. Here's where the believe part comes in. See, we have experience where in Maria's case, her belief was never. Never's a lot. But now what it is we're going to change that belief, and we're going to have just a little bit of faith. And I know Maria has this for sure. You know how I know? Because she had no problem getting clear on what she wanted, which means she down in there somewhere does believe that she can attain it. It's just she's correlating the word goal and, this is coming, it's pressure, and we're going to look at it like it's a journey along the way. Believe it or not, the date has little to do with the goal. We're journeying along the way. And that's the most important part of enjoying your life and living in the now. It's who you become in between what you put out there and what you attain. You guys with me on this? Take the pressure off. Now, if you really want to know how to set out and I want this and this is the deadline time, well, I can help you with that too. But the truth is, between here, July 1 and that July 31st, she's going to enjoy the ride and do the activities she needs to do to get the 2 new coaches. So that would probably look like reach outs and consistently doing her own personal business, following up with past people that have shown any interest, maybe some kind of, reason to call these people, and this type of thing. So Maria, I'm going to look for your note. All right. Okay, guys. So we ask, we believe, and right on the other end, I don't know if I said this, you have to have a measure of faith. And the measure of faith is visualizing that outcome. So write that down under believe. What would it be like? How would your business benefit if you spent even 1 minute in the morning when you woke up visualizing what you wanted? And if you missed a day, you don't beat yourself up. You just begin again the next day and the next day and the next day, and you visualize and you visualize. So the most important thing that any one of you can do is feel good. Is feel good. Anything to feel good. That kind of sounds probably, yeah, like, oh, anything, huh? Yeah, but really anything. Because when you feel good, you bring good to you. And it really is that simple, but yet with all the distractions, with all of life's, opportunities to be in the hustle and bustle of the day in, day out stuff, we get distracted. And then what happens is we get hungry, we get tired, we get these emotional, I feel sorry for myself, I'm a little lonely, it's gonna, oh geez. And then all of a sudden we're off the mark of feeling good. So the third step is receive. And the most important part of receiving is knowing that I asked for it, I believe it, and it's given, and I receive. That is on the frequency level. Sometimes to manifest that in the physical, it takes some time. And we want what we want now. We have to let go of that. And if we go back to step 2, which is believe, you keep believing that that is going to be. Okay, you guys with me? Yeah, Jane, go ahead.
I just wanted to jump in with this and something that you didn't do to me, but a while back, you asked what I would do with my income. You were trying to get to my why. And I said, I would like to, and I said it just like this, I'd like to buy Brian and I an RV. And then you said, Jane, tell me about that. And then I lit up, oh my God, it's got a Murphy bed, it's got this, it's got that, and wow, and we can drive it and we can park it, and it's got an awning. So the point of that is, wow, you guys, did you see the difference of that? Because Joan said earlier, you got to put your emotion to it. When you write down what you want, get excited, because the emotion like totally and completely changed where I was in that moment and my momentum and my vibe going forward. And then one other quick thing is Joan also said in a call it could have been several months ago, but my dream box behind me, I had written down, I wrote down that I wanted a greenhouse, I wanted it big and all that, and that came to be, and that was awesome. But then I wrote down that I wanted a she shed, and I wanted it to have air conditioning, I needed it to have heat, if I'm gonna paint, I need it to have water, and it might as well have a toilet, and we're talking $40,000 or $50,000. I wrote it all down, and that was cool, but then that day, Joan said, and sometimes what you put out there comes differently. And I turned around and I went, oh my God, my whole idea of a she shed is I want to leave my art out. And then I looked behind me and I thought, whoa, that thing costs $3,000. It's in my air conditioned house. The bathroom is right down the hall. I have running water. So it's like, wow, you write down exactly what you want, but it may come in a little different. But yay, now I have $50,000 that I could dream something else up with. So anyway, the detail and the vibe and all that, even though a lot of us have been on here for years, stuff comes up and it's practice, practice, practice. And I have one more thing and I'll shut up. So my car door hit my knee. And then sometimes when Brian and I are asleep at night, he pulls his leg over me and yanks my knee. And I have said over and over, I mean, not on purpose, but it hurts because my knee is healing. So, but I would say, Brian, be careful, you're hitting my bum knee. You guys, I said that for a friggin' month. And then the other day I went, what the hell? That's my healing knee, not my bum knee. It is my healing knee. And you guys, I kid you not, it's getting better. I'm not feeling the pain as much. And I'm like, wow, Jane, it took you a hot minute to do that. So the point is you got to remember, and it's practice, practice, practice. Amen.
Okay, I love it. Jane, you said so many things that are so valuable, but I want to go back because I know sometimes when we're just starting these things, even if you're restarting over, we can tend to go, oh, it's, oh my gosh, it's the growth. It's, oh, here I go again. So I want to just leave this call. I want to remind you of a few things. This is the card that I drew. The card that I drew is when emotions are high, remember, like Holly, like Joan, logic is low. Okay, so think about that. When emotions are high, logic is low. And this can also work for you. Before I read the card, remember, when I'm super excited, when I'm on fire, there is nothing more powerful than an on fire person for life. When they join your businesses, on fire for life, that energy gets into the group. Think about the opposite. If you are fired up when it's saying logic is low, even remember the excitement on the good note. New people don't have as much, maybe as many skills or tools. And yet, how do they attract all this goodness when they're super high about, woo, I'm so excited? How do they attract all this goodness? Because you guys, it's not always skill based. It's emotion based. You see? So let's look at it from this perspective. When emotions are high, logic is low. This sentence was very huge for me in my life because I have a fiery personality. And if not treated, I can be unhealthy. Well, when I learn to control my emotions, I'm very healthy. So I remember this principle and I remind myself that I have choices. Often when our emotions are high, we play victim, martyr, and how could they do this to me? And woe is me, and those are low frequencies. But you can pause, you can sleep on it, and allow the emotions to dissipate, dial down. In the morning, you can see more clearly and you can revisit the challenge or conversation once your heart and mind are well rested. Flip the switch to take control of your emotions and your personal power. And then maybe the question you might ask yourself is, what challenges do I need to revisit with refreshed clarity, and with whom do I need to have the conversation with today? You know, in Holly's case, it was the car dude. You might not have a situation today, but you can remember this part. All right, guys, it's Friday. We're going in to the 4th of July for many of you here in the good old US of A. We've got the Independence Day, and I know people love that with the fireworks and all that. Yesterday was Canada Days, and I had some friends there that were celebrating. And I just want to say, normally we would breathe, but I'm going to sign off. I got 4 minutes to my next appointment. And I just want to say thank you all for sharing and joining in. Have a safe holiday, and I will see you here on the 4th of July, Monday. So I will be back. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for sharing. Bye-bye.